Hello. Okay, so my fellow apostate peeps, today we are going to talk about the taboo subject of masturbation. 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 I say it 5 or 6 times and I'm immediately jolted back to my childhood, where the very sound of the word so cringy. Now, because masturbation is not a JW exclusive subject, this is not going to be a JW exclusive video. In fact, for some of my non-ex-JW followers, we're going to review materials that other Christians or other religions teach. Of course, we're going to have some good JW stuff mixed in there as well. And then we'll touch on, I said touch, some of the social constraints that pretty much was the catalyst for a lot of these religious guidelines that are, in my opinion, ridiculous. So, strap on your feedback. What did you think I was going to say? Pour yourself a cocktail, coffee, or a Coke, and
let's do it.
Okay, so a little bit of history on masturbation. Not general history, we'll get to that later. My history. I do not know about the rest of you, but I'm pretty sure there's going to be a clear consensus when I state that my mother was obsessed with masturbation. And let me clarify, not masturbating. Self-abuse, touching yourself, and my all-time favorite, playing with yourself. Why? So I don't know if my mother would have been just as obsessed with the subject if she hadn't been a Jehovah's Witness, but I wouldn't know because my entire life she's been a Jehovah's Witness. Now that I think about it, she's been somewhat obsessed with the topic of sex whatsoever. Yeah, she would not be too ashamed to ask, Cass, do you perform oral sex? Why perform? I've said it before and I'll say it again, that just makes me think like you're doing jazz fingers at the same time. Super creepy. So for as far back as I can remember, I knew it was wrong to self-abuse. It's so gross when they put it that way. To touch yourself. Maybe not this way. It is an ongoing topic for young people in the Jehovah's Witness religion. Now I get it. This is not exclusive, as I said before, to Jehovah's Witnesses. Many religions are like, no touching your peepee or your pepe.
She touched my peppy, Steve.
So it's not at all uncommon. Mormons are against it, Catholics are against it, Jehovah's Witnesses are against it. Almost all mainstream religions say it's naughty to touch your body. Yes. My mother was the female version of Igor's father in Young Frankenstein.
What the hell are you doing in the bathroom day and night? Why don't you get out of there? Give someone else a chance.
Yeah, it would not be uncommon whatsoever to be taking a bath and to hear the whole, "You're not masturbating in there, are you?" No? Kidding, it was mortifying. Mortifying. First of all, she's screaming it out in a house full of mixed company, as my grandma would put it. If you're in the bathroom too long, maybe you have to pee extra. Yeah? I hope you're not masturbating. Jehovah sees you, which really isn't a problem if you're into that. You know, now that I think about it, I wish I had been saucy enough to redo that conversation in a way that would have made me more comfortable. Yeah? Please tell me you're not in there masturbating. You know, Jehovah can see you. Okay, so what does he think of my technique? So, let's get comfortable with the subject. In order for you to be comfortable, I will make you very uncomfortable by telling you a couple of stories about me. Because it is uncomfortable for some people, but then you might feel a little normal too. Like this is any semblance of normalcy at all. So my very first memory would be oh boy, I was very young, maybe 5. And I was taking a bath, and of course the water is as full as it can possibly be. And like many children, I'm laying under the water with everything covered except for my face. Now, my parents had very strict rules about not locking doors in our house, and me having my ears completely submerged underwater had no idea what was going on out there. All I knew is that suddenly somebody grabbed my hand, literally ripped me out of the tub, dripping wet, turned me around, and which is 10 times worse, by the way, when you're wet. She basically screams, "Don't ever lock the door again," and then stomps out. I'm petrified. I have no idea what happened. I get it. Sometimes we, as parents, overreact because we're scared. I assumed at the time that maybe she had knocked on the door a few times and I didn't respond because I couldn't hear anything. Maybe she panicked because the door was locked, finally came in, and because of her fear, which then expresses as anger, smacks me around a bit. I might have been okay if that was the case. It wasn't. She goes storming out, and I hear my father from the main part of the house screaming like, "What's going on? What's happening? Cass locked the door when she was taking a bath." And I vaguely could hear him say, "So what's the big deal?" To which she screams to the house, "She could be in there playing with herself." No, she's too little. To which my mother responded, "You have no idea. I was her age, the things I was putting inside myself. Just about anything I could get my hands on."
What kind of shit is that?
I will spare you the examples she proceeded to shout out, but I can tell you this, I wasn't big on carrots going forward. The real confusing part for me at that point in time was I really didn't have a knowledge of what she was talking about. I knew you didn't touch yourself, but I didn't understand sexual gratification. I just knew Jehovah didn't like it. The main memory I have of sex up until that point was walking in on my parents, which was horrific because their feet were pointed towards the door, and he hopped off of her, and let's just say, yeah.
The spread eagle.
Now to parents, if your kids ever walk in on you, please just stay in the position. Please stay in the position. Just don't move and tell them to get out. Like I could ever masturbate after that. My next standout memory on that subject was when I was about, say, 12, 13 years old. Again, I was taking a bath. Apparently the bathtub is prime masturbation real estate. And not much had changed. I was laying in the bath peacefully, and I felt a presence. Now, I always bathed with the shower curtain closed, but I felt something in the room. Now, the structure of the bathroom was a very small bathtub, toilet, sink. I'm here. Something is here. In a panic, I whipped back the curtain and startled, holy crap, my mother is sitting there on the toilet. That was her face. I kind of scream, "What are you doing in here? Oh my God." And she says very seriously, "I really hope you're not playing with yourself." Sorry, I'll try that again. And she says very seriously, "Cassandra, I really hope you're not playing with yourself." I was really traumatized at the time, so hold on a second. "Cassandra, I really hope you're not playing with yourself." "But no, Mom, oh my God, you're so gross." "Please, sweetie, just don't, okay? Promise me." Okay, so needless to say, I am mortified. I'm mortified because she's talking to me about this. Why are you talking to me about this? And in reality, I believe I was doing just that, and I don't know how long she was sitting on that toilet. Memories. So, like many children, I was made to feel embarrassed, ashamed about anything in the realm of pleasuring yourself. And this would definitely even be the case if you were not in a religious household. Society as a whole has taught us historically that masturbation is wrong. Very interesting story. One of my favorite stories about the history of sex is that it was once believed that spicy food heightened your libido. Therefore, people who didn't want to be aroused by the spicy food and be moved to play with themselves, we've got to come up with a better term than that, would eat more bland food. Thus the invention of Kellogg's cornflakes. No, it's a real story. Look it up. In fact, he marketed it as a healthy, ready-to-eat, anti-masturbatory morning meal. It was his brother who got smart sometime later and added frosting to it. I wish somebody had done some data collection back then to let us know if the masturbation rates went up. But if you think about it, throughout history, it's been about a taboo thing. In fact, it was said that giving into your sexual desires could lead to anything from headaches to epilepsy. And if you're interested in crazy little facts like that, look up the history of graham crackers. Same thing, but made by a Presbyterian minister. So I think it's pretty obvious to see how over time religion obviously adapted what was culturally acceptable at the time, and at that time it was naughty to touch your body. And of course we know there's a lot of myths and misconceptions when it comes to masturbation. In the medical dictionary or medicinal dictionary in 1743, it is written of masturbation that there is no sin more productive of like hellacious consequences, hideous consequences. There is no sin so productive of hideous consequences as masturbation. Later in the 1700s, it was said that there are sad consequences for a young man who manages to masturbate, because people were watching over the young men so closely to not give them an opportunity. Don't let them go to sleep until they're sleepy. As soon as they're waking up, get them right out of bed, because the most dire habit that could possibly occur in a young man is to masturbate. So despite what George Carlin says,
if God had intended not to masturbate, he would have made our arms shorter.
there is a huge historical taboo when it comes to one touching oneself. Although I do go back and forth as to whether or not society influenced religion, or if religion and medicine created the stigma in society. I think we all have an opinion on it. Let me know what you think, because I go back and forth. I'm a little bit mixed on it. And then of course in the 1830s and 40s, it wasn't so much looked down upon for the sinfulness of it, but as a means of not having self-control and to exhibit virtual restraint. Certainly around the 70s, amongst certain circles, it was generally more accepted. And in the 90s, masturbation was coming out, so to speak. That's when we started realizing that we had a lot of historical hang-ups and weren't sure why. You're not going to get hairy palms or go blind. And if you play with it too much, no, it will not fall off. However, it was still kept very much on the down low, especially people in my generation did not openly speak of it, much less openly do it.
I can't even look at my own vagina.
Okay. I feel like this video is getting a little bit long, and in the off chance that it is, we're going to try to split this into 2, maybe 3 parts. So, we know what we're talking about. You know my historical masturbation shame. We know Jehovah's Witnesses don't like it, and we are going to delve in deeper as to why, which definitely ties into the social shame and stigmas that are attached to masturbation. So, stick with me on this, and I will continue to work on this series, pull more information together. Like I said, there's a couple of videos I'd really like to review. Oh my God. And of course we're going to hit the Young People Ask book, which certainly has a beautiful roadmap for children on the subject of masturbation. Absolutely do not forget, not next Wednesday, but the Wednesday after. Remember, we're supposed to get together. We have a live stream, 4 o'clock on the 4th of September. And don't worry, I'm not going to ask you if you masturbate, unless I do. Ask you, that is. No, the goal is we are going to talk about assemblies. So everybody pull their memories out of there of standing in line, the heat, dramas, not falling asleep, ever. Definitely the food. So until then, I'll see you next time.